Hello, guys. Hello. Welcome to our live webinar. And our team, we're so happy to see all of you here. And really want to make this webinar very interactive and very useful for you. So we really hope that you will have a lot of useful insights for you today. And our today's webinar is McKinsey first round interview simulation. And it is going to be by our consultant masters, by our safe career coaches, André Homulenko and Gaurav Bhosle. So firstly, I will tell you the agenda for today's webinar. Firstly, I will tell you about our format and the rules of today's webinar. Then we will make a small introduction. So we will tell you about our company, about our team who will make this presentation today for you. And then we will make a small theoretical part. So we will explain briefly main case mechanics. And after this, we will start our main part of the webinar. So interactive first round consulting interview simulation. And after this, you'll be able to hear feedback from André and from Gaurav and analyze about the case solving part. And as well as you will be able to provide us feedback and ask your questions. So this part, we really want to make it very interactive. After this, we will share with you the next steps, how you can already start your application process and preparation for the case interview. And in the end, we will share some bonus materials with you. So the format of today's webinar is going to be our duration. And firstly, we will make a small introduction for 5 minutes. Then we will make a wrap up for 15 minutes about main theoretical part of the case interview. Then we will start our interactive interview simulation for 40 minutes. And then will be our feedback and Q&A session, approximately 30-40 minutes, probably it will be more. So, and next steps will be in the end for 20 minutes. And guys, please pay attention for our rules. So please mute till the end unless you are asked to speak by me. So we will not hear any voices from your side. And if you want to ask questions, you can write them in our chat during the webinar. And it will be asked by me to unmute and speak. So we will make it, or some questions we will leave for the Q&A session, some we will make during the webinar. And to write the questions, you can use André, Gaurav, Omar, or Gandhar's name, and just like write it with the sign. So I will see that you want to ask the question. And when it will be time for questions, and I will ask you to speak, please turn on the video and unmute, then quickly introduce yourself, tell us your feedback, and ask your question. And so let's start our show. Yes, so let me firstly introduce ourselves. So my name is Alina, and I'm the moderator of today's webinar. I'm the client manager and of André Homulenko Coaching and Consulting Group and of the Consulting Masters. And I want to introduce you Omar. Omar is our client. Omar, can you please shortly introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. I hope all of you are doing well and staying safe. This is Omar Harb. I'm a civil engineering graduate from AUB. I started my career in civil engineering, and right now I'm preparing to take the next step in my career by joining strategy consulting with the help of Andrea, of course, who's been guiding me in every step along the way. I hope this webinar will be beneficial for you, and I'd like to encourage you to participate, share your thoughts, any questions you might have, since you'll be able to get feedback from two experts who are with us today. And yeah, try to make the best out of this for your preparation.
Thank you, Omar. And our next client is Gandhar. Gandhar, can you please introduce yourself briefly?
Hello, everyone. I am Gandhar Deshpande. I am a chartered accountant by profession. I've been working with PwC for the past 6 years. And as Omar mentioned, I am also willing to take a next big leap in my career So I'll be joining HEC Paris in September. But before that, I am working on case solving with André and Gaurav, and it has been the experience has been phenomenal. So you also make use of today's webinar.
Thank you, Gandhar. And let me introduce our coach and our expert, Gaurav. Gaurav, can you please tell us about yourself?
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, evening, or good night, wherever you are coming from. Glad to see so many people interested in consulting career, which has been the passion and love of my life. So I come from India. I'm an engineer by education, and then went on to do my MBA from Europe, and then joined McKinsey. Over the few years after joining McKinsey, I ended up working across 20 odd countries in Asia, Europe, Africa as a strategy consultant. Yeah. For the last 10 years, I'm actively engaged almost full time into consulting readiness as a career coaching field. I have, as the slide suggests, more than 500 of my clients are happily working in consulting in McKinsey, BCG, Bain, across around 75 plus offices. Yeah, I'm proud to have a success rate of more than 90%, where the industry average is around 2. And I'm also actually an executive coach certified on some of the interviewing techniques, neuro-linguistic programming as well, right? So today I'll act as an assessor of this McKinsey interview, and happy to answer any of the questions that you might have during this webinar and afterwards as well. Yeah. So thanks a lot for coming in. Stay tuned till the end. Yeah, I'm sure you will benefit out of it. Thanks.
Thank you, Gaurav. And our next expert and career coach, André. André, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone, once again, and good evening. Very warm welcome on the behalf of entire team of Consulting Masters for you for joining that webinar. My name is André Homulenko. I am born Ukrainian. Basically, I started my career as an intern in Roland Berger Kiev office, and my second assignment was Sochi Winter Olympic Games for Russian Federation 2014. This is exactly how I was excited about the idea of going into consulting. And afterwards, I did a pretty international career. I moved from Ukraine to Germany. And for me, it was very hard to break into consulting industry because of the German commands. Because back in 2012, when I was applying, I was way before being fluent in German. I only had something like B1 or B2. Nevertheless, I still made it with some efforts. And I spent more than 6 years in consulting, working on more than 30 international assignments in 10 different countries in Western Europe, Central Europe, Eastern Europe. I became fluent in German, fortunately, which made my life a little bit easy. And I also spent a couple of years spending on assignments in Russia, as well as in the Middle East, mainly in Dubai. And together with Gaurav, we want to make your next step into career an easy way compared to what we both have experienced 10 years back. So please use this chance to act and ask your questions, because for these 2 hours, we are at your service. We want to deliver the utmost content to you. I would strongly encourage you to put any questions you might be thinking about into the chat, and we are here to answer you and share all our knowledge. Yeah, just maybe also from the coaching background to mention, in 2020, during the pandemic time, I still was able to help my clients to get more than 30 offers with all major consulting worldwide, Oliver Wyman, BCG, Bain, McKinsey, Roland Berger, Strategy and Kearney, all those firms plus boutiques. And we are happy to be here to help you to make your next career leap. All right, so that's briefly about myself and our team. You will get to know a little bit later. So let's get the show started. I would like to start with a quick recap of our previous webinars because some of you have already been on our previous webinars. For those who are just joining us for the first time, I would like on the next page give you a brief introduction and explanation again about the case mechanics. So before we practice the actual case today with Omar, Gandhar, and yourself, I would like to explain you a little bit what's happening during the case in theory, so that you have a better understanding how to crack consulting cases. And then in the next step, we will do a practical exercise with you together. All right? So let's get it started. Okay, so as you see on that page, case solving part consists of 6 key things in the case mechanics. Imagine I am an interviewer from McKinsey and you are the candidate. So I would be asking you a case question at the very beginning. That what will happen is you need to restate this question, paraphrase it to me. Basically repeat and make sure that you really understood the meaning of the case question. This is number 1. Number 2, and this is one of the most critical things, is ask me 2-3 clarifying questions before you move on with outlining the structure, because it's really very important at the very beginning of the case to become very clear about what are the case objectives. Are there any numerical KPIs or what exactly we are looking for? Because if you don't do that step, the chances are extremely high that you will miss the point, because you might be misinterpreting the case objectives and you might be trying to solve the wrong problem, which was not expected from your side. Therefore, please really pay attention and don't forget about this step. So you heard the question, you restated, and then you definitely ask 2 to 3 key questions to clarify the specific objective of the case. You will see how it works later on in practice. Okay, then after you have clarified the questions and after you are very clear about the objectives, that is the next essential step, is to outline your approach or your structure. So you say something like, can I take a minute to structure my thoughts and come up with an approach? And the interviewer usually says, yes, sure, go ahead. Then you take a time and you try to outline it. I will tell you in more details how to do that. After you have outlined the structure, present it to the interviewer and align it with him. After you have aligned the structure and your approach, go and solve it, like bucket by bucket. Do calculations, do analysis, whatever is necessary to crack that case, piece by piece. After you have finished your analysis of every bucket, after you are done with solving every component, then sum up it into recommendation, or basically sum up the solutions, do the intermediate summaries. And afterwards, before making the final recommendation, if you are, for example, asked by the interviewer something like, our CEO is coming to you by the interviewer, or if you are ready, then you basically say, okay, give me just a moment, I will prepare the recommendation for you. So as you see, it's 6 steps. Just to wrap up again. So paraphrase the question, ask clarification questions, outline the structure, solve the case bucket by bucket along this structure, sum up your intermediate solutions, and make the final recommendation. And this, you will see that this is the algorithm you need to repeat in every case as you go. I hope it's clear. So now let's look into that. By the way, if you have any questions about this, feel free to tip them directly into our chat right now, and our moderator, Alina, will notify you about, or myself, about any new questions which you have, so that we can stop on them directly and explain if something is not clear to you. Use this opportunity. Okay, so let's move on. One more tip for you, how to take notes. So, in order to become very efficient, start acting as a consultant already today. And you know, I can give you a practical tip how consultants do take their notes. So step number 1, you take a piece of paper. Step number 2, you turn it around. And then step number 3, you draw the 2 lines so that you have 2 quadrants. And on the upper on the upper left quadrant, you would state case question. Case question means that you need to write down the case here, what the interviewer is asking you. Bless you, Hatem. So step number 1 is write down the case question, and here you could also write down your answers for your future clarification questions, which you will be asking the interviewer. Then approach. On the upper left side, draw up your approach. And here you will draw your issue tree. Then on the bottom right thing, make sure that you will proceed here with all the calculations. Or if you need to draw to describe any exhibits, anything about it, make sure that you do this in that corner so that everything is structured. This is your analysis, calculations, etc. And then in the on the rest, on the bottom left corner, if you find out anything interesting from analysis which you can directly use for your recommendation, just take a note here. And guys, I would suggest you to take some notes during that webinar, because this is really very essential skills which we are providing to you, which you will gonna practice. Yeah, so, well, if you might be also asking like, okay, but what shall I do if I don't, if I cannot put anything on just one page? There is not a big deal. You take the second page and you draw it in the same way. So you basically, you split it into 4 quadrants and make sure that your notes are structured. So how to start actually your case solving? As I mentioned to you, several steps. So repeat or paraphrase the question, which is number one. Then ask some clarification questions, usually 2 or 3 of them. And I can give you some tips. What are the good clarification questions? The good clarification questions, if you are asked about some business which you are unfamiliar with. So for example, you might be asked about some reinsurance company and you have literally no clue about what reinsurance mean and how does that work. So then in that case, ask about the business model of the company, especially if you don't understand the industry. This might happen to you if you apply and you get the case from the industry which you are not familiar with. Then, second thing, ask about specific questions about the objectives of the case. This could be like, do you have any specific KPIs, or how can we actually measure the success? And do you have any specific time frame for this to happen? So make it measurable and make it specific. And then, of course, if you haven't understood anything about the case, like if you don't know the word or the term, or if anything is in the case question unfamiliar to you, clarify this right at the very beginning. So after you have asked some clarifying questions and now you're clear about the objectives of the case, you actually ask the interviewer to give you a minute to think about the structure and your approach. And what is really important here is that you have that sort of MISI approach. MISI stands for mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. This is one of the key principles of structuring in top strategy consulting firms. This basically means that your structure should include all the components, but it shouldn't be duplicating itself. And all the components should be on the respective level. So on the level 1, you have your own components, and each component of the level 1 is consisting of subcomponents on the second level of the structure. You can see it on the, basically on the picture on the right side of the slide. This is just a good example of how you can draw up your structure. So now you have drawn your approach, and then there is a funny trick. So just make sure that you do 2 things. First of all, you make sure that the structure is complete, and remember, case interview is not a monologue from your side or from the interviewer. It's always a dialogue. It's an interactive case solving. So speak to your interviewer as you are presenting, for example, your structure. Here you're outlining it and explaining it level by level. So you say, okay, for example, profitability consists of revenues minus costs. Well, revenues you can structure either by revenue streams or by product lines or by according to the value chain or something else. So you basically, you outline it, and then you ask the interviewer 2 things. First of all, you ask him like, is my structure comprehensive or am I missing something? So basically, does it make sense? And then the interviewer can still give you a hint if something is lagging behind. And then the second thing, you can say something like, if that's okay with you, in order to proceed with profitability, I would like to start with on the revenue side. Is that okay for you, or would you like me to start elsewhere? So this shows your ability to take the hypothesis forward independently on the one hand, but also aligning your approach and your procedure and steadily communicating with your interviewer. Now there is the next step. So you basically, you outline the structure and then you go bucket by bucket and try and solve it. And you really drill down in every aspect of this. So for example, if you're going into profitability and going on the revenue side, so then your thing is just what is revenue? Revenue is P times Q. So basically, quantity multiplies price. So you need to understand whether the problem is coming from the pricing side or whether it's coming from the quantity side, or you are segmenting the data. You work with exhibits, you do your analysis until you have found out what is the root causing problem. Only afterwards, so that in the next step, you have figured out, you have done all your analysis, you have found out that the problem was, for example, on the low customer retention. Well, basically our client was losing the customers, and that was exactly the problem. Now, it's very important, as you have figured out this finding, before proceeding to the next bucket, that you quickly do an intermediate summary, that you summarize what you have figured out on your first bucket. After that, you say a phrase that, okay, now after we have figured that out, I would like to have a look on the second bucket, and I would like to analyze 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you have any data on that? This is how you proceed. This is how you communicate and keep on asking interviewer for the further data. In this way, you go from one bucket to the second, to the third, or to how many, to basically through all the buckets which you have in your structure. Okay, and you do the intermediate summary after every bucket as you finished it. So then the last step is basically preparing the overall recommendation. So the next thing is about summing up your solutions after every bucket. After you have summed it up from the bucket and proceeded from bucket to bucket, then take time before doing the final recommendation. It's really important because when you are taking that time, you first of all review what was on your sheet. So what was here in terms of the case question, and what were directly the 2 or 3 case objectives? Because your recommendation needs to address these objectives of the case. So in your recommendation, you ideally restate those 1, 2, or 3 questions or key objectives of the case. Then you provide immediately recommendations on how to fix them. Afterwards, you back it up with some of the facts, what you have figured out throughout your analysis of the case. And then in the next step, you mentioned that some risks which could be associated with this recommendation, as well as you are outlining 1, 2, or 3 specific next steps. So for example, what would you do if you would have a little bit more time for analysis, or what does it mean to implement these solutions which you are proposing? So this is like these 5 components: recapping the objectives, formulating recommendation for each objective, supporting it with 2, 3 facts from the analysis, mention potential risks, and outlining the next steps. And then there is also one of the key tricks which I like to give you. So ask the interviewer a question like, do you have any questions? Because this will help, and then pose. This will help to put the ball on the yard of the interviewer and give the word to him. And then you can have a fruitful discussion. In this way, you sound really very structured, and this gives you this helps you to leave the best impression for the interview. So now is the key part of that webinar, really, because we would like to invite you for an interactive case simulation, which we're gonna have today with Gandhar, Omar, and you. So we will do this in the following way. I will basically play the role of McKinsey interviewer. We will just do a very first quick case. It is beginner level so that every one of you can also crack it. It's not very difficult, but it also has some challenges, has some calculation, has some logic inside. So I would strongly encourage you to crack those cases together with us. Please make your notes, propose your approach, ask your or make your notes, propose your clarifying questions. After clarifying questions, outline your approach. Hi, gentlemen. This is Michael Spence from McKinsey London office speaking. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Michael. Thank you for asking. How about you?
Yeah, oh, good. Thank you very much. Okay, all right. Gandhar, seems like I don't really have that much time. Unfortunately, I have a meeting in 20 minutes from now. So would you mind us just directly jumping into the case?
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, one of my recent clients is a privately held company which was based in Nigeria, and it runs laundry outlets in 5 regions across the country. So the company is engaged in 3 businesses. It's mainly machine-based clothes washing, hand washing of delicate clothes, as well as clothes ironing. And the company owners are concerned because of the slowdown in company's growth. So for the last 2 years, Clean's all growth has been plateaued, and they have called McKinsey to advise them on possible growth, on possible growth potentials. So did you get the case so far?
Yes. So just to paraphrase the case, so the client is a private company based out of Nigeria, and it's into 3 businesses: machine-based washing, hand washing, and ironing. And they are concerned about slowdown in their growth. So they want us to help them as to how we can speed up their growth again. Is it correct, or did I miss anything?
Yeah, I think that's basically correct. All right. So how are you gonna tackle this?
Before I go down to the structure, I have some questions, if I may ask now.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So is the company operating only in Nigeria? These 3 services, are they providing only in Nigeria, or is it some extended area?
Yes, in a few regions of Nigeria.
Right. And when you mention that the growth has been slowed down, so what does that exactly mean? Are our profits falling? Are our revenue numbers not increasing?
Yeah, so basically we were growing faster over the previous periods of time, but then our growth rates have decreased.
Do we have the data as to what exactly is the decrease? Like how much we were growing before and how much are we growing now?
That's an interesting question, but yeah, I'm afraid I don't have it.
Okay. Okay. I think thank you for providing the data. So unless you have any specific questions, can I take a moment to structure the case?
Yeah, sure. Volunteers. Do we have any volunteers who would like to ask any additional clarifying questions?
I have another question, if I may participate, André.
Yeah, sure.
So my question is it only this company that is having this slowdown in growth, or are more companies in the industry with the same problem?
Well, we have competition, but I don't know about the problems on the growth rate. I don't have any data on that.
May I ask
Any
a
further
question?
questions?
Yes,
Yes,
may I
Kate.
participate also? I have basically two questions. The first would be, is all three businesses are seeing this slowdown or only one of the businesses? Is there a particular issue with one of them? How are they comparing to each other? What's the exposure of those businesses and their pros and previous historic growth? And the second question would be, what are the macroeconomic factors in the industry? Is it something that's external driven? Is it the slowdown that says external factors, or it's specifically internal?
Mm-hmm. Okay, Kate, could you please turn on your camera and repeat as well the... Oh, hi, Kate.
Hi.
What a nice surprise. Yeah, so can you please repeat the first question? I didn't get it.
The first question was, you said there are three sectors, right? It's machine-based clothing, hand washing, and clothes ironing. So the slowdown, the growth slowdown, is it related to all three businesses or to one or two of them? Like how the businesses are comparing to each other?
I don't actually have information about this, but thank you very much for asking. With regard to the second question, I can tell you that basically 5 years back, there were mainly 5 players on the market. However, most recently, many new age laundry startups have been spun up and have eaten up some of the shares from the traditional players like Cleano. So the industry have been disrupted.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any further questions? Or any further volunteers? Mark or anyone else? Feel free to show up and turn on your camera. Ask your question. Okay, so don't we have any further clarifying questions?
I think Mark has one, but he can't turn his microphone. So, yeah, he's asking about the financial target.
Mark, yes. Now, Mark, I think you are here. Mark, can you turn on your camera and microphone?
I assume he can't.
All right. Okay.
So he's asking about the competitive landscape. Is it an industry problem?
Yeah, so basically asking your competitive, yes, it's an industry problem on the one hand, and a really good first question about the specific company's objective, because the company's owners are looking for growth initiatives which will increase their top line by at least 10% per year for the next 3 to 5 years. So, Mark, very good clarifying question. All right, anything else? Or maybe Omar, do you also have anything to add?
No, basically, like we've covered everything regarding, let's say, broad clarifying questions. I can ask about the business model. So I understand they're doing clothes washing through machines and hand washing also along with ironing. But regarding those services, how are they being done? So do the customers come to our shops to do it? Do we deliver? Like just to better understand how our client is conducting business?
Well, it's basically clients which are coming and delivering the laundry. to us, at least at the moment.
Okay.
All right. I think that then we covered pretty much everything from clarifying questions.
Yeah, we have one more question from Deepak. Deepak, can you please ask your question? Turn on your camera.
Hey, hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, one quick question that I had was, when you say growth, does it mean revenue or profit? But I think you just answered that the company aspires to reach 10% growth year on year. So that was something that I was stuck with, but thanks for answering.
Yeah, exactly. Deepak, this is exactly the right question. So the focus is on the top line, which is basically revenue.
Got it, thanks.
All right.
And just one additional question. I know you mentioned 3 lines of businesses: machine-based, hand wash, and cloth ironing. By any chance, do we have the revenue mix coming from these 3? And how exactly is the company till now making money? Do we have like fixed costs? Has the cost remained same, or has it also increased over time? Just so that the structuring can happen better.
Yeah, we will come to it just in a while. So hold on.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, cool. So then my next question to you, Gandhar, is basically, so based on this information, what's your approach?
Perfect. So since the financial target of the company is to increase the top line, I would like to analyze into 2 buckets. First is whether we can grow within the core business, that is machine-based washing, hand washing, and ironing. And the second is, can we grow outside our core business? So these are the 2 buckets. And the third one is our capabilities and a risk if we decide to go in any of the ideas. So within the core business, I would like to see within current segment if there is any opportunity for the growth, or if out of these 3 we can focus on the fastest growing segment. Within the non-core business, I would like to see if we can provide new products to our current customers, or we can use our current capabilities and enter into a new business altogether. Does that make sense to you?
All right, cool. Thank you very much. Who has a different structure proposal? Sachin, please.
Yeah. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so our client's problem is that his growth had plateaued in last few years and he wished to grow at 10% for next 3 to 5 years. In order to solve client's problem, I would like to analyze I would first like to identify the root cause of the problem. And in the next steps, once I identify the root cause, I would like to give some recommendation what our clients can do in the short term and long term to improve the growth. Under root cause analysis, I would like to look into the profitability. Under profitability, I would like to assess the client's profitability in various segments, whether one of the geographical segment has a problem or one of the business segment has a problem. Under each of the under segment where I would identify the problem, I would like to look at the revenue on the cost side. So profitability can be affected if the revenue is declining or cost is increasing. If revenue is decreasing, it might be because of the volume is decreasing or the price is decreasing, or client's pricing strategy have changed, because of which price has decreased. Now, volume must have been decreased because of the 2 reasons. First is the internal reasons, which are controllable reasons and which could have been possible due to the issues in our service or the delivery of our business model. Second reason would be the external reasons, which would be uncontrollable reasons, and that could be because of the demand might have reduced or the competitive impact have increased. Now, once I So this would be from the revenue side. Then I would like to move to the cost side, whether to check whether the client's cost structure have increased in recent years. So the problem can be revenue side or the cost side or from the both side. So once I have this understanding of where is the problem, I would like to discuss with you in more detail about why there is a problem. Now, once I understand the why and the where and the why answer, then I would like to move and recommend our client whether he has any what he can do in the short term and in the long term, maybe to grow his business in the current business line, or he can explore and seek opportunity outside the market or outside the geography. So unless you have any question for me at the moment, I would like to move and understand the segmentation analysis and whether the profitability has affected in any of the segments. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for presenting your structure, Sachin. Hatem?
Yes. Right. So in order to analyze the root cause of the problem and come up with a proposal for a solution, I would like to analyze 4 key pillars. The first one is the revenue. So I'd like to look into the breakdown of the revenue for the 3 business units in terms of units sold and the price, to identify whether there was a shift in any of these due to the new competition that you mentioned earlier. The second pillar would be the market. So I would like to look into the market trend and market share compared to competitors. So is there any key clear competitor who recently entered the market that caused a decrease in our revenues? Or is it just a key market trend overall declining? So basically identify what is the market trend here and the key competition movements that may affect our growth. The second pillar would be the customers. So identifying who are our key customers, what are their key segments, and what are their needs in terms of distribution channels, for instance, or price sensitivity, to identify if there is any of the competition move affect our customer preferences. And finally, I would look into the product side. So basically, is our product or the way that we are offering services is different from our competitors? So for instance, do we have cleaning machines that takes longer time than competitors or so on? So is there any technological aspect here that can constitute as a competitive advantage or not? So those would be the 4 key pillars. And unless you have a specific preference, I would like to start from the revenue figures.
Okay, all right, thank you, Hatem. Then who else? Yari?
Yeah, I have a slightly similar framework, but I have divided it into 3 buckets. So first,
Yari, can you please also turn on your camera?
Yeah, my webcam isn't working at the moment. I'm sorry about that.
All right.
Okay, so the way that I would want to approach it is first I'd want to do a segmentation of our financial figures. So I'd want to look at the growth rate, the revenue, and the cost broken down by all 3 services, the hand washing machine and ironing. And then I'd also want to see a possible breakdown of customer segments and penetration that we have within these 3 businesses. So that would be a look at the financials. Then I would want to move on to our customer journey. So I'd want to see what the pain points are and if there are any strategies that we can adopt to increase ease of adoption, reduce churn, because those are the 2 drivers of growth. And then possibly see if there are any additional service offerings we can provide, including possibly franchising so that we can reach a larger volume. And then the third bucket that I'd want to look at is the competitive landscape. So I'd want to see externally, is the market in general growing? Is the number of competitors that have entered the field growing compared to past years, which would affect our reducing market share, for instance? And then I'd also want to see what competitors have adopted as strategies for customer acquisition to see if we could either adopt those or build on those. So those are the 3 sort of ways that I'd want to approach it.
Okay, Yari, thank you very much. Does anyone else have any idea which he or she wants to share with us? If that's not the case, then let's basically move on.
I was just wondering if you can, how deep you already have to go with your buckets. Like if you, for example, the structure that's...
Sorry, but this is not the Q&A part at that moment.
Oh, okay.
Can you actually present your structure?
So the structure that I have mainly focused on the current revenue, the new revenue, competitor analysis, and the customer analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to split up the current revenue. Either we sell more to the same customers, more of the same product to the same customers, or we sell more products to the same customers. And if we go to our new clients, we need to make sure we acquire them somehow. And if you want to sell, indeed, they're not mutually exclusive. That's why I'm figuring out how to place them correctly. But I would say either we sell more to the same customers, or we sell more to if we sell the same product we already have, or also the new product to new customers. But you just want to grow revenue, and then there's drivers that impact these revenues. So, for example, are there new competitors? Do we need to cut costs? So there's a variety of things we want to go over with, but I think the main problem, thing to analyze is what steps are most feasible to do soon. So introduce new products or acquire new clients, new customers.
Right. These are very valued points which you are just adding. I was actually also waiting for them. Okay, so let's go basically on the next page, and I would like to ask Gaurav to comment on this and provide the intermediate feedback as we go.
Okay, so let me be the ruthless McKinsey evaluator. Yeah. So first of all, on the clarification questions. Yeah. So Gandhar, you asked some questions, and a lot of you did ask some questions. So I'll just tell you which were what were the mistakes, right? And so questions on the target, what exactly the client wants. Amazing question. Yeah. These are the questions that you should not be missing. Yeah. This is. If you miss it, it's like playing a football without a goal post. Yeah, very good question. Some questions on the operating model of the company. You can, if you are not aware of the launch business, yeah, absolutely. Why not? You should ask for this. Location, again, a very good question. Yeah. Segment-wise growth, someone asked. Again, a very good question. In a case statement where the statement itself talks about 2-3 segments, yeah, a high level question like this, yeah, is not a bad idea. Very good question. Okay. Now, some questions which were not appropriate and will probably make you lose marks is whether it's internal or external issue. Too broad question. Open to interpretation. Not to be asked. How much is the growth decline? Yeah, too intimate. Yeah, this is not the question for this particular time. Okay. Then what I think there were a couple of more questions which were asking for the data or the numbers, right? So just ensure that at this stage, do not ask question which will elicit a number response. No, we are just starting with the client. The rapport hasn't been built, so sensitive information at this stage should not be asked. Okay. So that is on the clarification round. Yeah. That coming back to the structure. Okay. Again, I think just starting with Gandhar's structure. Gandhar, core, outside, and capability. Very good. Yeah. So core and outside is nothing but you are the Ansoff metric of increasing customer, either by targeting new or old. It's a different way of saying it, so I agree with it. Capability also, I agree with it, right? However, one major part that was missing, that was the external part, which is the industry analysis.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. So let me just explain this particular structure, which I think is a very good structure. Here we are talking, if you look at it, the internal and industry analysis are basically the diagnostic part. I think Sachin talked about diagnostic and the implementation. Actually, if you see, this has a flavor of this. By industry analysis and internal analysis, we are almost trying to understand where the problem lies. Okay. And then we are talking about the growth of revenues. Yeah. And where the problem lies, we are further dividing into an external factors, which is industry related. So recent trends, profitability, etc. And again, then we are talking about the internal analysis, in which we are talking about what is the USP of the company, right? And we are talking about company level problems or company level issues, right? So we are trying to make it messy by having two branches on the issue identification, one on the growth avenues or the implementation recommendation, and the issue analysis itself is being further divided into industry and internal. Okay, so this is how we are basically trying to ensure that this is a messy issue tree. Is that clear?
Yes.
Maybe Gaurav just also walk through the possible structure which is proposed and to crack that case, just to give an overview.
Absolutely. So the way to communicate this, the possible structure, if you are the one that you are seeing on the slide, is basically we communicate like this. So in order to analyze, what's the problem in the growth, and how we should be addressing that, we will look into three areas. One is the industry analysis, second the internal analysis, and third is the growth avenue. Under industry analysis, we'll first of all need to identify whether there are any recent trends which are affecting this particular company, the client company. And second, we'll have to benchmark the revenue growth and profitability against the what's happening in industry or against the historic ones. Under the industry analysis, internal analysis, we need to identify our capabilities and what exactly is our USP. So what is it that is selling us for a long time, right? And secondly, individual service level. So we have three different services. So at industry service level, we'll have to analyze what is happening and what can be growth potential. Thirdly, under growth avenues, we'll divide it into two. One, increasing customers, and secondly, increasing value per customer. This is a standard split. And increasing customer, we'll look at one, targeting new customer or launching new services. Increasing value per customer, in which we'll talk about increasing prices and increasing the laundry volume per customer. And then you can say, unless you suggest otherwise, I would like to start off with XYZ analysis. So the first analysis where you would like to start.
Okay, all right, so cool. Then let's basically move on. Thank you very much, Gaurav. Please, all guys, except Gandhar and Omar, mute yourself. So let's move on and let's basically focus on the industry analysis. And I have the following information for you. So your team has done some industry research which suggests that the laundry industry landscape in Nigeria is changing very rapidly. The new age startups entering the laundry industry and are introducing several laundry value-added services and luring the customers. So the following exhibits lists key value-added services that emerged out of the research. And on the next page, we would like to share this exhibit with you. So according to you, what do you think, which value-added services initiative Clean All should invest in and why?
Sure. Can I just take a moment to analyze it?
Yeah, go ahead. If someone else has an idea, feel free also to interact.
Before I start analyzing this, do we have any restriction in terms of how much investment we can do right now? Or since there's an estimated profit impact, so do we have any success criteria that the profit shouldn't go down even if there is a substantial, let's say 10% revenue growth, but it's resulting in a -2% profit? So do we have any such restrictions?
That's a good question. No, we don't have those restrictions.
for both profit as well as
Basically, besides those which we have mentioned during the clarification questions.
Correct. Correct.
So, anyone has new ideas?
Yes. When I look at this graph, there's two things to notice. So there's estimated revenue growth and estimated impact. Looking at the fact that the ultimate goal of the business is to make profits, I would suggest that we ignore the first two. So tech assets and free pickup would not be the most options I would pursue, even though free pickup might have a high revenue jump. It doesn't, which is the ultimate goal of the business, of the case actually, but it doesn't serve doesn't do the company very good. Therefore, I would suggest we focus on clothes sensation and shoe shine. And looking at these, there are not capital constraints. I suggest we start doing clothes sensation and also do shoe shines.
Okay, thank you. Any further ideas?
I have one, Mike.
Yes, Omar.
Yeah, so basically, since our client's target is achieving a 10% revenue per year increase in the next few years, so we can either go for the free pick up and drop. However, that would affect our profit by -2, so we'd have to balance this with something else. So maybe if we go for the free pick up and drop with the clothes sanitization, we'd have a 13% revenue impact, along with, let's say, zero profit. So we're just increasing our revenues for the years moving forward. Now, if we're looking into profit, however, this would have much more capital expenditure. We can go for the other three, which are tech assets, clothes sanitization, and shoe shine, and that way we'd get the 10% revenue impact. However, what I would do, considering that those startups are taking our market share, and if we don't do anything from those, or if we care about profits, then we'd be left with no market share moving forward. So I would prefer going for the free pick up and drop along with the clothes sanitization, considering the capital expenditure. And if our capital, if we don't have budget constraint, as we've mentioned, we can go for three of those. So we can go for the pick up and drop, the sanitization, and shoe shine. But what I would like to investigate further is how those combined would have an impact, and how those would have an impact on our competitors. Like if we do this, how much our competitors are going to decrease their market share in order to find the best way to control the market.
Omar, sorry, I'm just a little bit confused. So which option shall we go for?
Yeah, so can we go for more than one, or is it just one? That's the question I want to ask.
We can go for more than one, but maybe, what are the 1, 2, or I don't know, how many options would you want to go? Hopefully less than 4.
All right, so basically, considering our client's target, we can go for free pick up and drop along with the clothes sanitization, but we will have zero profit. So we would be gaining 13% revenue impact, but with no profit. And that's the risk of this strategy.
Okay, anyone has a different opinion?
Yes. So for me, since our client have the ultimate goal of achieving revenue growth, and the main focus is on revenue growth, not profitability, I would actually, this is the first part, and the second part is, since there is no limit on the amount of money that we can currently spend in terms of the project that we can invest in, I would recommend to invest in the 4 projects, because that would allow us to achieve maximum growth in terms of revenue. And on the long term, then we can focus on the 4 we would implement the 4 projects. That way we achieve the maximum revenue growth. And then on the long term, for example, if this could potentially generate economies of scale.
Just to have for one initiative, which one would you pick?
Okay, one initiative only. Okay, if I would have to pick only one initiative, then I would go for the free pickup and drop off, because that would basically achieve our client's goal of achieving 10% year-on-year revenue growth.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further ideas?
Can I give it a shot?
Gandhar,
I took a
I
moment
think
to
you have already
analyze.
given it a shot.
I took a moment to analyze. So can I go ahead and
No, let's
present my
basically give the chance also to other participants of the webinar, because you have already spoken. So anyone else? All right, sounds not to be the case. Then Gandhar, please proceed.
Yes. So the first priority is free pickup and drop, because when I analyze the capital expenditure, it is on the lowest side. Plus the expected revenue growth is 10%. So that meets our financial target that we want to increase our top line by 10%. However, this comes with a negative impact on profitability. So if we do not have any restrictions, in terms of capital expenditure, we can look at cloth sanitization or shoe shine, so that we can balance the profitability aspect as well.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Gandhar. Gaurav, could you maybe explain how you would do that?
So this is classical over-analyzing, right? Or classical, whatever data we have, people thinking that all the data needs to be used, yeah, which is sometimes a trap. What was the question asked? The question is asked, which initiative you will pick up, right? And the client's objective is extremely clear. They are talking about year-on-year 10% revenue growth. And there's only one initiative over here, which is free pickup and drop. There's nothing else. Yeah, it's just analyzing the data. Yeah, and be careful about it, guys, because I always tell people that in consulting, yeah, the tough problem is not about anything. I mean, we don't do anything rocket science, right? The problems are ambiguous because there is too much data or too less data. This is a problem of too much data, and you are reading too much into it. Yeah, client has asked for the revenue increase. Yeah, the answer is in front of you: free pickup and drop.
That's how simple it is. All right, cool. Thank you very much, Gaurav. This, in fact, was pretty valuable. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So, how will you actually evaluate whether free pickup or drop offers service? How would you evaluate whether a free pickup and drop-off service launch would be a good fit for Clean All? What kind of criteria you would use?
Yes. So before I form the criteria, I wanted to ask that would we have any specific limit that we would deliver within 10 miles or within 10 kilometers of our outlets, or it would be that we'll deliver to any location?
Why is that important?
Just to estimate how much, whether it will be feasible actually, that within 10 miles radius, how many people are actually living. And so that's the reason I asked this specific question.
Okay. In fact, I don't have information for you on that.
Okay.
All right. So, can you please think out of the structure how to do that kind of analysis?
Yeah. Can I take just a moment to structure?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And if everyone in the meantime would like to speak, just turn on the camera and present your answer.
Hey, hi. This is Sachin here.
Can you turn on your camera, Sachin, please? Yeah. So go ahead, please.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So our client's question is, he wished to evaluate whether how the free pickup and service, will help. I mean, how to evaluate the particular service. I would like to divide the evaluation of the service based on three factors. First is willingness, affordability, and accessibility. Under willingness, I would like to check what is the out of the entire market, how many people are really willing to take this service. Second would be the affordability. So based on the pricing strategy that we would decide for the free pickup and drop service, how many people would be really afford to buy the service. And third would be the accessibility. So based on the location of our client's office or the real estate, etc., and between the distance between the office and to the customer, how many people can really access or access our service, or maybe since it's a free pickup and drop, what is a time that we are taking to pick up and drop? I mean, whether the time is okay or not. So based on these three factors, I believe that we should evaluate the service, and whether, since this service will give the maximum growth, which is our client success criteria, I would not depend on any other factor, but these three factors.
All right.
Factor, I mean.
Good. Thank you very much, Sachin. I would like to give the chance for two more candidates to speak in sake for the time. So who else would like to share? Please turn on the camera and microphone and speak.
All right, so I can go for it again.
Yes.
So in order to assess whether we'll be able to implement this or not, there are two main factors that I would look in. One is the internal, and the second is external. In terms of internal, I would look if we have the infrastructure in place, and by infrastructure, I mean do we have cars or bikes and so on to do the free pickups and drop-offs. Second is the system that is related with it to keep track of everybody's clothes and the delivery timings and so on. So what sort of system do we have, and are we capable to deliver it or not? The second part, which is the external, I would look into our clients. So what is their geographical distribution? Are they far spread, or are they concentrated more in one area? That we'll be able to assess the feasibility of dropping off and picking their clothes. So these would be the two main factors that I would be examining.
Okay, all right. Does anyone else has a different idea? Thank you, Hatem.
In order to assess someone else can go.
Hi, so I just probably have an idea / question. Before we jumping into assessing what we want to invent and how we want to invent, why don't we assess what our competitors are doing, like the most successful competitors or some of the competitors that's sitting near us, near our locations? Probably there's another, the same service around the corner, which have already the delivery and pickup, and we can assess their models to just investigate the market and then invent our own, not just starting from scratch.
Okay, so doing a benchmark study is probably also a good idea if you were to proceed with industry analysis. But now we are just went a little bit deeper, Kate, and now now the question is actually how to evaluate whether free pickup is a good option for that company, specifically for our clients. So do you have an idea on how to evaluate whether this is a good idea to launch this kind of service and your KPIs?
I probably would have something also very general, basically calculating what are the expenditures, what are the expected costs, what are the expected profits, and building the projection based on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is one. This is basically maybe some sort of attractiveness assessment. What else do you need to evaluate?
Probably some, I don't, because it's very specific industry, probably they have some industry specific factors or industry specific parameters which we should take into account and also include in our calculation and into the evaluation.
It's in fact, it's a general problem. So there is no need to look for some industry specific instead. Okay, so, all right, we have identified one factor, attractiveness. Thank you, Kate. So, Bram, would you like to give it a try?
Yes, as we've already agreed to go with free pickup and drop service, we know the financials and our impact on these. Now the next step is to determine the feasibility of this feature for our company. Here supports look at our own capabilities. So what are we as a company achievable of? So do we have enough people with driver's licenses? Maybe we need to hire new staff. At the same time, we have 5 locations. Are these all remote? Do we buy cars? And the second thing is then, are these raw materials? So are the cars or the bikes available? Or do we need to source them somewhere else? Like, how difficult is this? Next to this, it's also important to figure out a way how to communicate this to our customers. So the channel, because we also need the customers to know that we have this free pick and drop service. How are we going to reach them? And yeah, these were the main pillars I identified.
Brian, seems like you are on the great way already for preparing for your first interview round with McKinsey, because it's gotcha. It's exactly the things we need to have a look here. So great job. On the one hand, we have attractiveness assessment, and on the other hand, we have feasibility assessment. So in terms of the attractiveness assessment, we need to focus on 2 key criteria, which is 1, revenue impact and profit impact. I mean, those criteria have been already shortlisted in the exhibit number 1. You already know them. And what was Bram speaking about is basically the feasibility assessment, because it's, and it could be also divided into 2 parts. So it is financial ability, I mean, to finance this investment, to hold it on, to observe it, and its operational capabilities to run this initiative. So as we already discussed that from the financial standpoint of view, it's not a big deal. Therefore, let's basically focus on the operational capability to run this initiative. And then I will come up to the next question. So now cleanup already has a pickup and drop service that is chargeable. And if the pickup and drop off is to be made free for our clients, Clean All needs to cut the costs of pickup and drop drastically to make it free of charge. So currently the cost of one delivery, it's either pickup or drop off, is about $15. So Clean All has also sold quotations from companies that specialize in delivery. And we would like to share with you the quotations in the next exhibit. So based on this, on the exhibit number 2, could you please tell me, should the Clean All continue to run their own pickup and drop off, or outsource it to one of those agencies? So what do you think and why?
Do we have any data on how many deliveries are being made? We have a figure of $15 per delivery, but.
So thank you very much. I actually have that there is a need to daily pickup data for these calculations, and I would like to provide you the following additional information: that Clean All needs 8 trips per delivery boy over the weekday, and over the weekend the workload doubles. And also basically the calculations should give us to deliver, just focus on the aspect of the lowest costs.
Could you repeat for the weekdays what the delivery number is?
Deliver number for the weekdays is 8, and for the weekends 16 per day.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, just are those numbers for the pickup trip and the back trip, or is it just for like both combined?
This is for each one of them.
Okay.
There is no difference between deliveries, whether pickup or drop-off. So who can calculate me the delivery cost of the agency A and of the agency B?
So to calculate the cost of agency A and agency B, the equation that I would use is, since we have 8, so weekly 5 weeks in a day into deliveries per day. This is, we are talking only on the weekdays, into deliveries per day, in multiplied by the per pickup rate, and to this I'll add the daily fees. In terms of weekend, I'll do the same calculation, 2 weekends into the per pickup. We have 16 deliveries on the weekend into the per pickup rate, and to this I'll add the fixed daily fees. So does this make sense to you?
Can you just proceed and come up with a number?
Sure.
Thanks. So anyone has a number for agency A and agency B?
Yeah, should I go for it?
Go for it.
Yeah, I think there's like no need to calculate that for 5 days and for like for the weekdays and the weekends. So per 1 weekday for agency A, we've got 90 plus 4 times 8, which is equal to 122. While comparing that to agency B, it's 70 plus 5 times 8, which is equal to 110. Right? So that would be, agency A would be greater. Now, if we move to the second side, for the weekends, we've got 115, which is 75 plus 2.5 times 16. And for agency B would be 60 plus 4 times 16, which is mainly equal to 100 and, yep, that would be 100, and 4 times 6, that's 24, right? So after getting those, we can multiply them with the number of weekdays and weekends to get those per week. So for agency B, we've got 110 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 550, compared to 122 multiplied by 5 for agency A, which is equal to 500 plus 22 multiplied by 5 is mainly 110, so that's 610. For the second part, for agency A, we have 115 multiplied by 2, which is 230. And for B, we've got 124 multiplied by 5, which is equal to 500, plus 100, that's 600, and 4 times 5, so that's 620. So comparing those, we've got 840 versus, yeah, that would be, oh, I messed something up. So it's 124 multiplied by 2, not by 5, sorry. So that's 248. Yeah, so we've got 898 for B. So B would be larger than A by 58, which is around 6 to 7% difference. So A would be less than B.
Sorry, say again, please.
Yeah, A would be less than B by around 58, which is almost around 7% difference in between them. So that's
you would go for A, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you very much. Does anyone have a different opinion?
Isn't agency B less? I think you mixed the two up.
Can you explain me, Piyari, your logic?
I think just the same math as Omar, but for me, the calculation is coming to 798
Yeah,
for agency
exactly.
B.
Exactly, yeah.
And what's the outcome?
So you'd go for agency B, which is 798, as opposed to agency A, which is 840. I think Omar got everything right. It's just that he mixed the two up.
Okay, thank you. Any further opinions and ideas?
Yeah, I have an additional opinion.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, my friends actually we need to calculate the per delivery cost, and we also need to compare with our current delivery cost, which is $15, and we need to compare among the three which one is better. So that is what actually the question is being asked.
That's absolutely correct, Sachin. So what's the outcome did you get?
I did not calculate it.
Okay, all right. Then anyone else? Any opinion? Like last take before Gaurav will explain it. Come on, guys, last chance. Give it a try.
We would multiply 8 by 5, which is 40, and then we add that to 32, which is 72, and multiply that by 15 to get our weekly cost, which we've calculated for agency A and B. And then we compare whether our internal cost per week is higher or lower than each agency to see whether outsourcing makes sense.
Okay, all right, PRA, thank you very much. Gaurav.
Yeah, I think I'll just quickly wrap up, right? So what PRE explained is the exact calculation. And what Sachin is saying is also right, that the metric to be compared is per delivery, yeah? So, but the calculation remains the same. And yes, I think Omar got it right, only just mixed up A and the two suppliers. So the answer is that supplier B should be taken.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, Gaurav. And basically, in case you have now any kind of questions, feel free to drop them into chat or just turn on your camera and raise your hands so that you can ask those questions right now. If that's not the case, then we will basically move on to the next content. So I would basically, now we have one very interesting part with you, which we would like to share. So we would like to talk about how we can actually help you to get your offers from all the leading consulting world companies around the world, whether it's McKinsey, BCG, Bain, Roland Berger, Strategy, and or any other consulting firm which you might be applying. So I would like to quickly describe our approach together with Gaurav. We usually begin with setting the right objectives. Like what are the firms, what are the right geographies, what are the right positions, and where are the hiring needs at the moment? Because we always keep our hand on pulse in the consulting market. We are very well connected to the recruiters and to the firms. And since we have already helped more than 600 clients together, we know where there is the current demand and we help to get there. Then the second step would definitely the documents during the application process for consulting. They have some specifics. So the CV or cover letter needs to be written in the specific way to be tailored for a consulting industry. And for example, tailoring the cover letter for McKinsey might be a little bit different than tailoring it to BCG, to Roland Berger, or any other company. So we help you with this and that. What I actually would like to say is that we provide you comprehensive support along the entire way. We walk together with you hand in hand to help you until you will reach the final outcome, until you will get this email from HR saying like, dear Omar or dear Gandhar or dear Bram, congratulations, it was a pleasure having you last Friday in our interviewing day. We would like to submit you an offer. Could you please share your passport details as well as your postal address to issue you an offer? Best regards, Maria from HR team. So this is exactly the outcome we with Gaurav together are fully committed to deliver to you. And that's why we will help you all along the way in your process. So one of the key and essential steps here, especially nowadays during the COVID, is the whole networking and referral strategy, because having someone in the firm is really what makes it out to get your interview invite secured. Because nowadays there are so many people who apply through LinkedIn, companies don't even get back to them. I mean, seriously, applying through LinkedIn is absolutely no-go nowadays. And what you also need to be aware of, if you apply, for example, online, if you are in the system, but if you were rejected for whatever the reason, in many cases, recruiters didn't even have a chance to look at your resumes, because now there are too many candidates and there are not that many opportunities. So people are extremely selective. And if the software has outsourced somehow your profile, then you will get automatically rejected and you cannot apply for the next 12 to 18 months. And this is actually the worst which can happen to you, because then you have only limited number of functions. But through our approach, we will help each one of you to leverage your existing network, either through MBA or through people with whom you share similar attributes. Through your network, you will reach out to those people who are already working in the firm and who can recommend you. Because referrals play nowadays a key and essential role. And I think Omar, Sachin, or anyone else in that room with whom we have already worked can just only confirm from the experience how important and how critical referrals are nowadays. And throughout our more than 12 years spanning consulting, we have gained a huge network of our friends, our former colleagues, of our mentees and candidates whom we have already helped, who are currently working with all major firms in every region of the world, where we can basically ask them for a favor to put a really good word for you as a candidate and to make sure that you will be getting that interview call. So this is really important. And then, of course, there is a key part, like preparation and helping you to master your first, second, and final interview round. So we will go hand in hand with you together and help you to master all those skills until you will get that offer. And this is the really key. So we both are committed to your results. And then last but not least, after you have graduated from our program and you have received your offer, we will also help you with doing the first right move into consulting, because we have delivered a great program which is called Get Ready for the First 100 Days and Long-Term Career Success, which will help you to onboard very effectively and efficiently in this weird time of pandemic when everyone works remotely and you are not even able to get to know your people in person. We will help ensure our experience, which help each one of us to build a truly successful career. Because just to give you an example, I was on the fast track promotion twice. Fast track means that I was promoted after 6 months for the first time and after my 12 months for the second time. And the normal and actual promotion cycles at Roland Berger at that time were between 18 to 24 months. So within 30 months, I was able to do that career for which my peers actually took 4 to 6 years to become actual project managers. And I was just moving extremely fast. And together with Gaurav, we will provide you support on how to get your promotion faster and how to get a great standing. Gaurav, anything which you would like to add before we will let our clients speak?
I think I concur with what you're saying. Right? It's an excellent. See, I think what we are trying to build is a I wouldn't even call it support. It's almost like a family, right? And we ensure that right from the minute one, yeah, till you are really a master in consulting, we are there with you, right? Be it setting the objective, be it achieving them, yeah. Preparation is a major part of it, but even beyond that, we are always there with you.
All right, cool. I think that our clients can actually speak even better for us than we do. So just maybe to give you a couple of most recent examples. In December, so last month, we have already helped more than 5 mentees to get 6 offers in consulting. Just to give you a couple of examples, one of our mentee has recently got an offer from Istanbul McKinsey office. She is going to join in spring. Then 2 mentees got offers from Oliver Wyman, and both are actually a funny thing. They both are going to join Dubai office on March the 1st. One mentee has got an offer from Roland Berger in Dubai. 2 more mentees got offers from Germany, from Strategy, and one has got an offer in London. And we again also have several people who are currently in the pipeline, so who are preparing for the upcoming interviews, as well as Gandhar or Omar, and where we will be very happy to do the announcements pretty soon after they will successfully complete their interviews. So guys, if any one of you has ever worked with me or with Gaurav, with both of us, basically, could you please turn on your camera and your microphone right now and tell a little bit more about your personal experience of collaboration? So how valuable is it for you, and how is it helpful?
Just my comments, Andre. Sorry, I found it quite interesting, and it feels like I've learned a lot from today, especially about the round 1 interview, what's going to happen in round 2. So my expectations are, well, I didn't realize the round 2 was going to be much tougher. Like more buckets to solve. So I think that's quite interesting, and from the quant side as well, like it's highlighted my own kind of like areas I need to develop. So.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing your view, AG. So Omar, Gandhar, I also saw Sachin, Gabriel. I don't know if anyone who is here in the line, can you please also turn on your video and share a little bit your experience of working with us.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'd like to.
Yeah, Omar,
Go
go ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
Sure. So before I started working with André and Gaurav, and I realized that I was doing all the wrong things. And luckily, I had not formed the habit. Otherwise, it would have been a huge mess because you would carry forward those habits. And that's what precisely I'm learning from Andrea and Gaurav, that how to do things right. So it's a muscle that you need to build. And I think both Andrea and Gaurav they have so much experience and they have so much to share that every call with them, I'm learning something new.
Thank you very much, Gandhar. Yeah. Omar, maybe you can also tell a little bit more about your experience also as one of our VIP clients, going through the webinars and having funny sessions in groups with Gabriel, Gandhar, and other guys.
Yeah, so first of all, I'd like to stress on what Gandhar has said about the habits. So case interviews are about creating habits, and if you create the wrong one and move forward with it, it's hard to change your approach moving forward. So basically, to tell you more about my experience with André, so we've been working for a while now on every step of the process, from polishing documents, networking, the fit part of the interviews, the case interviews. So we started off like by one-on-one sessions where he'd play the interviewer, I'd be the interviewee, such as we did now. We then moved on to a new format where we were conducting double sessions. So I got the chance to observe Andre interviewing another mentee, and the same would go vice versa. And most recently, we have started implementing this really fun format where there would be 3 of us mentees, and Andre, of course, would be with us in the group. So basically, each one of us would have chance to interview someone else, to be interviewed, and to observe the interview process, which is really something important. And I think it's the best part of my work with Andre up until now, since you get to see how other people solve cases, you get to have feedback from 3 other people. So like nothing would be missing from your weak spots, from your strength, you get everything. And finally, the interviewer perspective is really fun. You get to know how the interviewer thinks, like how he's leading you through the process, when he's giving you hints in order to catch those. And in addition to this, it's not just about delivering concepts. So it's sort of a community that I feel I belong in, where every one of us mentees would share their experiences, their progress, their mistakes, any questions they might have. And of course, we would always be motivating each other. And what I really like about Andre is that he is also an expert in being positive, enthusiastic, and pushing us to achieve our full potential. So yeah, I can say I'm a happy client.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. Who else would like to share his experience? Gabriel, or maybe also Thomas?
I can very quickly just share.
I can go. Okay.
Go, Thomas.
I'm just starting to work with Andrea. I think we had just have the 2 first meetings. And I would like just to add what everyone has said before, which is completely true. Another part, which is the personal one. So I am a very anxious person, and Andre is also helping you, managing your emotions. And it's not only about getting the business case right and learning all that stuff that you definitely have to know how to handle it, but he also takes care on the other parts of the application from the very beginning, like networking and getting the referral and also, you know, to stay calm and know that this is a process that takes time, but you finally get there.
Thank you, Thomas. Gabriel, let's conclude.
Last but not least, eh?
Yeah.
Anyways, I mean, I'm just gonna build upon what Omar was saying. A very specific experience that I had like yesterday it was the first time that I could, let's say, experience being the interview with a very experienced interview, observing my interview skills as well. So it's very important to, like, right now, since we have this great opportunity of COVID to do everything on webcam, so multiple people can be in the same place at the same time, and it's very useful to have André to, for example, in my case, he gave me very valuable feedback in terms of how I was interviewing and certain aspects of how I was interviewing that where I was making a mistake. And again, that's useful because putting yourself in the shoes of an interviewer helps a lot when you're an interviewee, right? Because you're going to perform better the more that you know what an interviewer is looking for. So that's what I think is an amazingly valuable experience for me. Right, André?
Okay, for sure. All right, cool. Gabriel, Thomas, Omar, and Gandhar, thank you very much. Oh, Sachin, would you like to add anything else from your side?
Yeah, André. Thank you so much for having us here. Everybody talked about you. I would like to talk about Gaurav. So Gaurav has, I have done few sessions with Gaurav, and I really liked the way he explained about how McKinsey interview is being run. What are the typical issues and what are the typical skills that people look forward in a candidate when they conduct an interview. So and it was really great having a session. The sessions were really enriching because every minute he explains you on your each part of the case, like structuring your clarification question, your brainstorming question, your maths, and how to think, how to approach, how to time your case. And I have also done one or two cases with André, and similarly his guidance in the casing, in the PEI questions, was great. And I do recommend all of the people who are here to have sessions with André and Gaurav, and you will be definitely taking your experience and taking your case practice to a higher level. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sachin. I think it was a very well-rounded story. And also thank you very much to everyone who has stayed to that moment. We will not take that long because I just want to give the words to Alina to conclude, because there are some bonus materials for you, which we have also prepared. And Alina, let's quickly announce about them.
Yes, sure. So guys, first of all, I wanted to ask you, please fill the webinar satisfaction survey, and we will share the link now into our chat. And please, it's very important for us to improve, to develop, and to give you better information. So we really need to know where the room for improvement and what was good and what can be improved. And next moment that all the participants will receive some goodies. So firstly, it will be the presentation of today's webinar. And also we will send you this example of the case solving, which was on this webinar. And also you will be contacted by me for scheduling a quick free consultation where we can discuss your current situation, which objectives do you have, which challenges do you have, and understand how we can help you and in which direction we can move. And yeah, so we already shared the link for the satisfaction survey. Please.
Can I ask you just, guys, for us, it's really very important so that we receive your feedback for further improvements. Because we are committed and we want to deliver a really high quality product for you, not just a talk. We want to steadily improve our webinar. So please use this link right now, go to it right now and leave your comments on how did you really like that webinar, how helpful was it for you, and what specifically did you like, what were your key takeaways, and how we gonna proceed on this. Thank you very much for filling this out exactly right now.
Yes, and here you can see the announcement of our future webinars, which we'll have this February. Firstly, it's on the 1st of February, we will have a case interview simulation for the Lancaster Consulting Club. And so if you are the student of Lancaster University, you can join us. Next webinar, all other webinars will be for all who want to participate. So on the 10th of February, it is going to be McKinsey second round case interview simulation and past personal fit part. It will be at same time, so like from 5 till 7 Central European time. Next webinar is on 17th of February, BCG first round interview simulation, same time as today from 5 till 7 Central European time. And the last webinar for February is on the 24th of February. It's going to be Bain first round interview simulation, as well, same time from 5 till 7 Central European time. So we will be really happy if you join us, and we will make soon the link for the registering so you can join us on these webinars. And also want to tell you that follow us on our social medias and on our website, because we post there a lot of useful information, a lot of different announcements about the webinars, and a lot of useful posts, which can be also very, very helpful for your preparation to the interviews and for your document polishing and for your networking. So you will find a lot of useful information there. We'll be very happy to see you there. And thank you guys a lot for your participation today in our webinar. It was really very interactive and really very empowering. And it was really cool to see that all of you are so engaged in the process. And I just want to say that all of you are really have really a great case solving skills, and it was so interesting to look on the process and how you are engaged. It was really amazing, and I wish all of you good luck with your preparation, and I wish you to have your offers very, very soon.
And on behalf of the entire team, on behalf of Gaurav, of Alina, of Gandhar, of Omar, and everyone else who has prepared and participated in that webinar, we would like to express you a very warm thank you for being to us today. And we wish you best of luck in your preparation. And of course, we're more than happy to help you to get your future consulting offers. We're here to deliver you the best results. Thank you very much and have a nice evening. See you in the upcoming events.